It crushed expectations again. The economy added 178,000 new jobs in March, nearly triple the number economists had forecasts, delivering yet another powerful validation of President Trump's pro-growth agenda and demonstrating the resilience of the American labor market under his leadership. JT, is this the new golden age, as the White House says it is?
If you went to the dictionary and looked up the definition of spin, there would be the hyperlink to that page.
Yeah. Come on, just slam an iron brew and let's do this, boys.
Hide your kids. Lock the doors. You're listening to HR's most dangerous podcast. Chad Sowash and Joel Cheeseman are here to punch the recruiting industry right where it hurts. Complete with breaking news, brash opinion, and loads of snark. Buckle up, boys and girls. It's time for the Chad and Cheese Podcast.
Hell yeah! Welcome back to the Chad and Cheese, HR's most dangerous podcast. I'm Chad. You're doing it all wrong, so watch.
And I'm JT. Help me. It's shoulder season, O'Donnell.
Shoulder season. Shoulder. Okay, we'll get to that. On this week's show, Grayscale is infectious. Clasp follows Uncle Sam's lead. And are the people over at the BLS just making shit up? I think we'll cover speed and hiring.
Did somebody say speed? Then buckle up, boys. You're about to learn how to hire fast.
Who is that?
Vetty Betty. From Vetty, the hiring acceleration platform. Come on, man, keep up. What's up, Betty?
Hey, Chad. Vetty makes high compliance hiring easy. Background checks, licensing verifications, and health screenings, all in one place. Real-time updates, no red tape, and no delays. Hiring managers can move fast, stay smooth, and close the deal.
So they just sit back and watch. Hell, I could watch this all day.
That's right. Relax, enjoy the view, and don't lose the hire. It's that simple. With Vetty, it's all taken care of before they can even catch their breath.
Best lesson ever.
Class dismissed, boys. Vetty. Hiring as it should be. Visit vetty.co to learn more.
Welcome back.
Hello. We're still here. We're still here every week.
The economy sucks, but on the brighter side, we sent Americans to the moon, around the moon. Kanye is blocked from the UK, and World War III hasn't started yet. So, I guess counter blessings.
Yeah, we got 2 weeks. Great. Awesome. Taco Tuesday.
Dude, so it was funny. I think it was Jon Stewart, one of the late night hosts, might have been Kimmel, I don't know. They did a montage of how everything from a time frame standpoint for Trump is 2 weeks. Whenever somebody asks him a question, it's always 2 weeks. And I didn't realize it. And they played this long montage of all the times when he was literally, people were asking him questions or he was talking about, different things. And it was always 2 weeks. And I'm like, okay, I didn't realize. There's a pattern.
Amazing. There's a pattern. It's called a soundbite, right?
So, yeah, but everything's 2 weeks. So what? Talk to me about the American shores. I'm here in sunny Portugal and kind of divorced from kind of like not the global situation, but the American situation. What's it feel like?
Just in terms of the vibes?
Yeah.
I feel like everybody's angry. If I'm really being honest, everybody's kind of short lately.
Yeah.
They're just kind of, they got a gripe with everything, I've not found a whole lot of people who are cheery, upbeat, positive attitude. I think everyone as a whole is just kind of grinding and quite frankly, looking for summer because, summer comes in summer vibes and you can distract yourself, which is, shoulder season is the definition between winter and, full blown summer, that yucky spring that New Englanders see. So we're in it now. And I think that just further complicates it, the bad weather wherever you are. But yeah, the vibe here is not good, my friend. So soak it up in Portugal.
That's what Joel calls me, Euro Chad, when I'm here. So he always knew when I was getting ready to go back to the States, because about a week beforehand, I'd started getting I started getting a little bitchy, like a
Nasty.
a little mad, a little mean. And then about 2 weeks before I would come back to Portugal, he'd say, "You're getting into Euro Chad mode." And whenever I'm here, I'm much more light and relaxed. So yeah, I know how that feels. I know I know the mood thing.
I get it. All those expats, it's growing and growing, right? Like all you folks leaving and heading over there. I see it.
We had more Americans come to Portugal last year than any other year. And that needs to stop, because I came here to get away from Americans. I didn't come here to be surrounded by Americans. Okay. So can we stop that, please?
Podcast prediction: within 2 years, Chad's going to be announcing he's moving to a different country because Portugal has become America. Prediction now, throwing it in early.
Oh God. I hope not. No, it's too beautiful here. Anyway, let's go ahead. Let's talk a little bit about shoulder season, and you've got some of that. And
is it time for shout outs?
Shout outs.
All right. This is more than a shout out. This is a plea. Anybody that lives in New England knows shoulder season is that time of year where the weather's just like, ugh, and there's not a lot to do. Great example. Yesterday, it rained, snowed, rain snowed, rain snowed,
yuck,
rain snowed. We ended up with a whopping inch of snow when it was over. So you get a little stir crazy. My plea is, please someone invite me to come speak at your company. We'll negotiate. Like, I'll teach you everything you need to know about gaining LinkedIn, getting found, like getting your company found. I will literally just invite me someplace. But the only stipulation is it needs to be a direct flight. Please don't make me have to like fly two places, because I'm notorious for getting stranded in random podunk places. So as long as it's direct, I'm your girl. Please, I'm begging you.
Plus,
Get me
with
out of here.
husband being a pilot, you're probably a snob when it comes to travel, air travel.
Ironically not. And
No?
I'll tell you why.
Okay.
He's a pilot for UPS. We don't have code share. I don't fly anywhere for free.
Really?
I don't fly anywhere for free. Nope.
Wow.
They've got great benefits. Thank you, UPS. But no. This girl has to pay her own way. So again, take me. Pick me.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay. So just so you know, next week we expect on the events portion to hear that you've been picked up at a bunch of different places to get you the hell out of the rain, snow bullshit that you're dealing with.
Thank you.
My shout out this week goes to friend of the show and industry veteran, Matt Charney. Everybody loves a little Matt Charney. I know I do.
Everyone loves little Matt.
Now, he wrote an article entitled "Just Can't Quit You. Why do trade shows still exist?" Now, Matt just got back from a couple of great back-to-back shows, Transform and Unleash, both in Vegas. Can you imagine 2 weeks in Vegas? I mean,
No, I'm going to be really honest there.
Oh,
no.
God. Dude, my 3 days is my limit in
Max.
Vegas, right? Anyway, back to the title. The title really isn't about the shows themselves. It's about how vendors are using them. And here's an excerpt. Over 80% of you watching right now, you watch over and over. We know you do, but you haven't liked and you haven't subscribed. Let's do that. Let's do that now. Charney writes, quote, "Imagine if teams use their booths less like lead traps and more like home base, or that sessions were built around customer outcomes instead of, I don't know, product pitches," end quote. This is just the tip of the iceberg, to be quite frank. Joel and I have been saying this for years. Vendors have to understand that TA and HR tech is not a transactional sale. Hiring companies are spending thousands, hundreds of thousands, and some spending millions on technology, and they don't spend that kind of cash on a whim. They don't create an RFP because they visited your fucking booth or received a cold call from your over charismatic sales god, right? So for any type of consideration, you need trust. And to gain trust, you need trusted voices. You need customer stories, not your founder's vision story. Nobody wants to hear another founder drone on and on about how they woke up in the middle of the night and they jotted their company, down on a napkin or some shit like that. No, you build products, allow your customers to tell their story on stage in front of their peers. And the main bits of the story should be about how you, your team, and your platform help that customer in their problems. You record those stories. This is very, 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 very easy. Record those stories and use them over and over and over. You gain new customers new stories, you rinse and repeat. The message that I took from this story is that you're doing it all wrong. It's not about scanning fucking badges and demand generation unless you're selling a lower value product. So shout out to Matt Charney, another guy that says what he means without the fluff and ass-kissing bullshit. Burson. Go ahead. Sorry.
Can I? Yes. Okay. So first of all, preach, my friend, preach, Charney, because how long have we understood the difference between features and benefits? And as you're just going on that explanation, they all get up and talk about their features. Who cares? What you're talking about is storytelling that provides emotional reaction to the benefits. It is such basic marketing that it is mind-blowing that people haven't figured this out in a time where the biggest currency and the hardest thing to get is attention. And you haven't figured out that storytelling around your benefits is the number one way to get the attention. I could not agree with you more. It's like crazy to me that they haven't figured this out.
Whenever I hear that a vendor has like a lead on demand gen, I'm like, listen, demand generation is transactional. Okay. You are in a relationship business, unless you do have really small value types of products. Okay, great. You're selling job postings. Okay, great. That's fine. Totally get that. But if you're selling technology and or services that cost hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, what the fuck are you doing? Like you said, the stories should be coming from the people that are the peers of the buyers that you want to actually connect with. It's so fucking simple.
How do you solve problems? How do you alleviate pain? Tell me the story. Let me feel it, right? And it doesn't happen. You're right. And it's unfortunate. And this is why people have their companies pay for them to go to conferences so that they can skip all of the presentations and just party. Because you already know what's going to be on stage. So let's fix this, people. You might get more butts and chairs at your session.
And I got to say, a lot of the conference operators, I know that getting ready to go to the RLX, we'll talk about that here in a few, but the RLX in Chicago, we just did one in the UK, and that is all peer and practitioner led. There are no presentations from vendors at all. It's all focused on pain, problems, and how some of these peers of yours might have gotten through that. So, we're starting to see that more from different operators, more companies on stage talking about their stories versus listening to a founder and or CEO. And guys, you got to understand this. Nobody gives a fuck what you have to say. We don't need vision statements. We don't need to talk about the future of technology. I can hear that shit from Sam Altman, and I know he's bullshitting me. So I know you're bullshitting me. Just put your clients on stage. Let's hear their stories.
Yeah. And what's the bigger concern if you can't put clients on stage? Just saying.
Yes. I tell you who's not concerned. People who sign up for free stuff.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Stephen McGrath. And I'm here to tell you all about how you can grab some free stuff from chadcheese.com. Now, you might be wondering why I'm sitting here topless. And the answer is really simple. Because I've not grabbed my free t-shirt from Aeronapp at chadcheese.com yet. Let me fix that. Right, that's better. So I'm sporting a slightly vintage model here, but of course there are new and updated designs every year. And those are super soft, breathable, and some might even say huggable.
I can't see the design, Steve.
Now, what else can you get? Of course, you can get some craft beer. It's not just any regular rubbish beer. That's craft beer brought to you by the data geeks at Aspen Tech Labs. And if you're not into beer too much, then... 2 seconds. I'm just going to get that. Then you can always go for chicken cock, baby. That's right. Not one, but 2 bottles of chicken cock from the lovely people at Proven Base. Now, you're not going to get any of this stuff unless you go to chadcheese.com/free and get yours today.
That's
2 comments.
Right.
First of all, I love when he says that's better. Like, right? Because that's like kind of a Boston accent. But also, I didn't realize there was an L in the word craft. When he says that word, I'm like, how does he get that L in there?
I don't know how they get a lot of these syllables and or
it
words.
All sounds great.
Oh, it sounds amazing. I told Steven, It's funny. Anybody from the UK, anybody, with that from Europe, period. It doesn't matter if English is your first language or not. I always hear, well, I'm not sure that our sales team will do well if we, go into when we expand into the US because of, our accents. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? Americans love European accents.
We'll buy anything from you.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And also deliver us the bad news. And we're like, okay, it's coming from you.
I heard from you, so it must be okay. The good news is.
Oof, events. Where are we going, boys?
Well, at least I'm going somewhere for shoulder season. As always, travel is sponsored by our friends over at Shaker Recruitment Marketing. That's shaker.com. Later next week, I'll be headed back to the U.S. Because on April 20 through the 21st, Joel and I will be attending Paradox's client board, a little shindig with about 100 Paradox clients where they get together and they talk best practices. We just talked about that. Check out new Paradox wares, and it's a perfect opportunity. Sit down with Chad and Cheese and do what? Record another season of the AI sessions, kids. That's right. The AI sessions they're still going strong. We've got the first 3 seasons that are out there on YouTube, or you can go to thesessions.ai. And this is where we talked about those stories from real companies. That's where they happen. So check it out at thesessions.ai. Then right after that, on April 22nd, I'm heading over to PetSmart's headquarters to have an Ask Me Anything session with the National Retail Federation. I hope they ask me about my favorite whiskeys, and maybe they'll have some for me. Hint. I love Blanton's. And last but never least, we're going to the RLX in Chicago. Just went to the one in the UK a couple of weeks ago. It was amazing. This is happening the 28th through the 30th. It's another 2-day TA leader-led event, and we'll be rubbing elbows with a room full of more than 50 TA leaders like Ford, Nordstrom, Johnson Controls, Ace Hardware, KPMG. You're jealous. But you don't have to be jealous. Just head over to chadcheese.com/events and join us. We got plenty of cool events around there. You're going to be coming with us to some events this year. What's the first event you're coming with us?
I think we're back in London, right?
Are you coming,
that's probably
back
the next
London?
one. Would I not come back to London? Are you kidding me?
That's
my new second home. Love me some London.
Yes, love London. So we've got London coming up. That's Wreckfest in July, but we got more pressing news.
Topics.
Okay, let me pre-apologize for this first segment because it's going to be very sarcastic. Okay, it's going to be very sarcastic. So kind of understand that going on. Okay, so an Associated Press report details a significant and unexpected surge in U.S. job growth last month, March 2026, after a dismal February, which was revised as a loss of 133,000 jobs. In March, the labor market bounced back, though economists warn that external factors may cloud the future outlook. War. Who listens to a fake news AP? I went over to whitehouse.gov to get my real news, and this is what I got. Quote, talking about the jobs report. It crushed expectations again. The economy added 178,000 new jobs in March, nearly triple the number economists had forecasts, delivering yet another powerful validation of President Trump's pro-growth agenda and demonstrating the resilience of the American labor market under his leadership, end quote. JT, is this the new golden age as the White House says it is? Talked about.
Oh my gosh. I feel like if you went to the dictionary and looked up the definition of spin, there would be the hyperlink to that page.
Yeah.
This infuriates me. Literally, the jobs report makes me want to drink at 8:30 in the morning when it comes out. I'm not kidding, because of the fact that people just don't understand it, right? So for example, they're like, the reason is everybody that was on strike last month, lost jobs is now back. That's no new job creation. Somehow people think that this is brand new job creation. They don't understand that it's based on payrolls and what's going on. They also don't break it out by white collar versus blue collar, by a different industry. You know, it's such a bogus number. And based on what we've seen, let's talk pendulum. So we were down 190 something. Now we're up 290 something. So next month we're going to be down 400, right? Like we're just going to see a swing back to, we're going to revise those numbers and we actually lost this amount. Like I'm just so sick of the data. I can't believe we don't live in a time where the data can't be better constructed. You know, it's infuriating. And then as someone that works with job seekers every day, then they come to me confused. I don't get it though. We got 293,000 new jobs, JT. Like, why can't I get a job? It's so disheartening, you know, to put that kind of bogus data out there.
It is. And it's why I had to be so sarcastic so I didn't scream at my mic starting off. Okay, so this is without the sarcasm, kids, okay? Healthcare, which JT just talked about, the 76,000 healthcare jobs added in March, it's heavily distorted. 35,000 of those roles were simply Kaiser Permanente workers returning from a strike. 35,000. Okay. And healthcare is our strongest industry with regard to growth, period. Okay. The mirage, in the eyes of the BLS, these count as newly hired. I'm using air quotes because they weren't on the payroll during February survey. The reality of it is no new economic value or employment capacity was created. The labor market simply returned to its January baseline, same as it ever was. So it wasn't growth, kids. On the construction side of the house, 26,000 construction jobs gained, but over the last 12 months, construction employment has shown zero growth. The March surge, 26,000, was literally crews returning to job sites once the snow melted. It's a seasonal correction. It's not an industry boom. Then we've got what everybody's thinking about, Trump's war in Iran. A big piece of context in the timing of this data collection, right? The survey was conducted during the first 2 weeks of March, just as Trump's war was with Iran was beginning to escalate. Now, the lag. The jobs report is a lagging indicator. It doesn't yet reflect the massive spike in oil prices, which surged past $4 a gallon shortly after the survey, or the resulting freeze in corporate hiring. The mirage, the numbers show a pre-war somewhat stability that no longer exists in the current to late April economic climate. And last but not least, the no hire stagflation. JOLT, or the Job Openings and Labor Turnover Survey, data paints a much bleaker picture than the payroll report. Hiring rates have plummeted to levels reminiscent of the Great Recession. The mirage is maintained by low layoffs, but the engine of the economy, new hiring, has effectively been stalled. So we need to go into all of these data points spewed by the White House and everybody else that's out there with eyes wide open and several, and I mean several trusted sources to fall back on. You can't go to one. You have to have several trusted sources, which is why we do this on the Chad and Cheese podcast. So we can be one of your trusted sources. One of them, remember? One of them. What do you think?
I agree. We've seen that Oracle laid off 30,000 last week.
Yeah.
Today, this morning, Amazon's talking about another 14,000 next month.
Jeez.
So we've had 61,000 layoffs in tech last month alone in March. So where this data, it's not reflective of the true numbers, right? That's what we have to keep saying. Yeah. And I hope people pay attention to it. But I love your comment about one source. Multiple sources. We can't just trust the first thing we hear, for sure. And that's sadly what a lot of job seekers do. So folks, educate them, help me out. I help the job seekers out, make them understand more clearly what's happening out there, because they see those surface numbers and they take them incorrectly. And it's sad.
Yeah. And when we were doing our before LinkUp got acquired, they were sponsored and then they got acquired. We were doing the jobs report, and Toby Dayton was actually talking about real now data, not lagging indicators, but right now, right? Aspen Tech Labs is doing that as well. So we have Link Up, who's still, and Toby still writes about it. Aspen Tech Labs, sponsor of the show. They also have a product where they're not focused on 30 days back. They're talking about right now, and they can give you kind of like somewhat of a predictive index. So there are opportunities, again, in different sources to be able to understand what the job market really looks like. And again, that's not perfect because, as you'd said before, there are jobs that aren't posted that are out there for companies who don't have to meet federal requirements. And then there are jobs that are just lying out there that are quote unquote green that we've always debated for over 20 years. If they're actually real or if they're literally just bait to be able to get applicants in. So there are always going to be fringes, but again, more than one source is always good.
Amen.
Excellent. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Omar, founder and CEO of JobPixel. I'm going to talk about two things. Number one is JobPixel. We do short form video content. So if you're a recruitment marketing or employer branding leader, you have to do video content, collect content from your employees. You're going to be able to show impact that you've never seen before. Number two, I would love to talk about People Brain Collective. People Brain Collective is a new organization that just got started by some of the best minds in our industry. And it brings all recruitment marketing and employer branding leaders together in one place to have a conversation about the impact of their work. I promise you, it's something you do not want to miss. So after this video, you'll see a QR code. Scan that QR code with your phone, go to their website and sign up for a membership. You will not regret it. They have amazing people talking about the best topics you'll absolutely love. Thank you, and I can't wait to see you there.
Oh yeah, kids, if you have not liked and subscribed, what are you thinking? What are you doing? Like and subscribe to the show and put a comment in there, good, bad, and different. It doesn't matter. We love to hear from you guys, whether you agree with us, whether you don't agree with us. That's what this show is all about because we don't always agree. Let's go ahead and go on to Grayscale, who was acquired by Paylocity. Paylocity announced the acquisition of Grayscale, an AI-powered recruiting automation company that helps businesses hire at scale, move faster with crazy quality. That's why I'm going to put that in there. As expectations for speed, responsiveness, effectiveness, and candidate experience continue to rise, high volume hiring has become increasingly complex. Delays between recruiting steps can slow momentum and lead candidates to withdrawal. Grayscale expands, and loved by Paylocity, their new recruiting capabilities with AI-powered recruiting automation that helps employers engage candidates earlier and move faster through time-sensitive hiring workflows. It's all about the agentic. JT, do you think this was a Saks Fifth Avenue or a TJ Maxx kind of sale?
I don't know if I wait on to the level of it as much as it's just another acqui-hire, right? It's a company that got their AI to the point that they could showcase that it was a nice little plug-in to a company that needed more of an end-to-end solution. I think we're going to see a ton of that this year. By the way, I'm here for it. Yeah. If I had my free time, I'd be spinning up some agentic stuff in our space. We are actually building something on the side for LinkedIn for that reason, because there's just an opportunity to then plug into a much larger process. So that's how I read that. The moment I read that, that's an acqui-hire and a way to tack that in. But here's the thing. I worry about how many companies are overpaying for this stuff because they're feeling this race to have it. Mm-hmm. And so here's this pre-made thing. Let me grab it. But now you're taking on technical debt. And so the ability to pivot or work with it, now you're inheriting that and everything that's going to go with it. And I've seen a couple agentic platforms, people doing startups, and they had to iterate. And all of a sudden they were way left field of where they were. And if they want to get back, that's a problem. So I don't know. I think that's a roll of the die. I get why they're doing it, but I don't think there's a clear path that, hey, this is going to make you millions of dollars, when in reality, something better and cheaper could come along in a matter of months. So it feels a little risky to me, but I understand why they're doing it.
Which is good reason for acqui-hire. So we recorded a firing squad with Ty Abernathy, Grayscale CEO, that dropped on January 5th, 2022. So a few years ago, which means it was recorded in late 2021. Back then, Ty was selling Grayscale as an SMS engagement platform for high volume hiring. Nudging people before the interview, before their first day, that kind of stuff. What is Grayscale today? From the website, it reads, Grayscale boasts the ability to deploy AI agents that complete real hiring work across the entire hiring lifecycle, from sourcing to apply to onboarding inside the ATS you already trust. Not a chatbot, not a point solution, an execution layer for modern hiring. Grayscale went from an SMS platform focused on high volume, a great place to start, by the way, and then pivoted into agents and orchestration on the frontline side. Something that every big system needs. Refer back to SAP acquiring Smart Recruiters and Workday acquiring Paradox, right?
100%.
Frontline employees do not live on their computer all day, which means they need a system to engage them via mobile. And what's better than a chatbot / agent / an orchestration layer? That also lays the groundwork for every other type of position that's out there. Because if you solve for the hard part, frontline engagement, the rest of it falls into line. Plus, much like my Majorca tapes episodes, if you haven't watched those, kids, go
love
watch
the
them on
Majorca
YouTube.
guys.
Watch them on YouTube. Where I actually spoke with Smart Recruiters executive team, where we talked about Winston moving further into the SAP stack. Grayscale orchestration can move past frontline hiring into onboarding, into employee development, and into 1,000 different areas. This is going to be the connective tissue of some of that older tech. And when we start talking about tech debt, as you had talked about earlier, these types of technologies are going to be a hell of a lot more fluid, where you can actually bring up, and I know talking to a really good friend of mine, Chris Long, where they built agents for an organization, and they didn't have a problem killing agents off because they were starting to go rogue, right? And this is early days of creating AI a few years back, especially on the agentic side of the house. I think they started calling it decommissioning instead of killing, because killing wasn't good. But other than that, they could spin up new agents pretty quickly, right? And that's the thing. If you have the capabilities and you have the individuals, much like Ty and his team, that are focused on the agentic side of the house, and you have these old databases, that's okay, because databases are really just storage warehouses, right? If those agents know it to go where to go in, where to pick up the data, to pull it out and move on forward, that's great. Instead of a human being doing it, you're just moving that over to an agent. So, I mean, back in the days of 2022, when we gave Ty a big applause, I got to say, way to go, kid. Great job. I personally don't think this was a J or TJ Maxx kind of thing. Don't know what he got for it, although this is what every company needs to be doing right now. And I think, to be quite frank, we've talked about this on the show for years. It's always been a build, partner, buy kind of scenario. I think build is going away unless you actually buy the partner, and then that smaller chunk of people come in and become a piece of that organization that literally just run this part of the business.
Okay. I'm going to stop you there because based on what we just heard, it went build buy. I think you're seeing I think we're seeing a much bigger trend of build to buy, and the partner phase people are going to skip the partner phase out of the necessity that you keep talking about, because everyone's going, okay, well, what's left? What can I buy that's decent? So it's going to go from people are building right now, which is again why I said if I had free time, I'd be building right now, because I think if you build and have proof of concept, they won't even bother with the partner stage. It'll be like, let me grab you. Yeah. So my shout out to everybody is there's opportunity right now. That's what I think people should take away.
I don't think the big companies are going to build. I think they're going to actually, I think, yes, that's what I mean.
Same page.
I think the build's going to go away for enterprise, the enterprise platforms, and they're literally just going to partner or buy. I think if 100%. They're smart, they're going to be able to identify who they want to buy very quickly, because that company might not be on the market very long. But that's to be able to clarify. I don't think the big companies are going to be building their own shit anymore. They're going to be buying other organizations that focus on that, much like SAP with Smart Recruiters, Workday, and Paradox. And they're going to allow those organizations underneath to literally just build orchestration.
Yeah. Fair. Agreed. Totally agree.
Good job, Todd. Good job. And also good job to Clasp, who raised $20 million. JT, healthcare is one of the only industries that has consistently demonstrated growth over, I don't know how many years, but as long as I can remember, which is probably why Clasp, a company that helps healthcare employees build long-term talent pipelines by connecting with clinicians before graduation and tying student loan repayment, that's nice, to tenure, announced a $20 million Series B led by Crosslink Capital and Digitalis Ventures. What a name, Digitalis. Driven by demand for its ROTC model, retention over turnover cost and model. So if you know anything about ROTC, it's actually a military term. And if you don't mind, JT, can I go ahead and jump into this?
Dive in.
Okay. So the U.S. military's version of ROTC is the Reserve Officers Training Corps, and using the U.S. military as a model to attract and develop talent is something that we've talked about on the show for years. Whether it's the GI Bill and Army College Fund models, where the U.S. government creates an education fund for the employee while you're on the job that accrues monthly, or the Reserve Officers Training Corps, ROTC, model, which foots the bill while you're in school, and then you repay Uncle Sam later with your service, your work. Both trade your time for education and give you a better educated and more nimble workforce. Unfortunately, most companies have gotten away from these models over the past, 4 to 5 decades, as most have been chasing bigger revenues, fatter margins, and juicier EBITDA, instead of developing their talent, which would have led to innovation, better products, and all the things listed above, but in a more forward-thinking life. So, JT, what do you think about Clasp?
Yeah. So first, let's talk about the investment. So I believe you said it was a Series B round, 20 million. My initial reaction to that was, wow, that's not a huge amount of money, right? When you can think about, but at the same time, I love it when companies don't take too much money, right? Because we've often seen companies take way too much money. We know what happens there. So I was like, okay, here's the thing though. I come from a family of nurses. My sister's a nurse practitioner and now also a professor. Where I get excited about this is we do have a healthcare shortage. We've known about this for a long time. It is going to worsen as we age, right? We're not having as many children. It's pretty scary to get old in America. In terms of who's going to take care of us, healthcare, et cetera. So when I think about what she went through when she went back to school to become a practitioner, what she sees now, these students are very focused on how am I going to get my debt paid and where is the best place to work? And if we're going to get more people into healthcare, that gets exciting to me if we can be saying the whole time you're in school, we're figuring out a way to manage your debt and getting you introduced to the right opportunities. Because what I have noticed is they tend to do an internship, and then that's usually the first place they go work because they're just so busy learning. There's not a lot of exploring all the places that I could work.
Yeah.
And so if this model is going to include something like that, I think that gets super exciting for these candidates so that they can find that place. Because I notice a lot of job hopping in healthcare. They get someplace, oh, this is what I thought. And, that hurts the system as well. So very interesting. I think it was a conservative fund, and I think that's good. And I really do hope that's where it's going based on what I know about the healthcare employment market.
Yeah, I know just from the military model, you go in for 4 years and pretty much your debt's paid, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you get that, whether it's GI, Army, the Army College Fund or Air Force College Fund or what have you. It's about $100,000, kind of nice, right? To go to your education. And or you go the ROTC side of the house and you go to school. And while you're going to school, the military is paying for your school. And then you go ahead and pay that on the back end with your time. But usually, again, you're talking about 4 years or so. So at that 4-year time frame, you can go wherever the hell you want. But again, you still have a commitment to that organization till you get there. This from the release, quote, Clasp was by these early commitment models and applies the structure to healthcare through loan-linked hiring, where employers commit to clinicians before graduation and repay their student loans over time in exchange for tenure. Instead of relying on a large upfront bonus, employers invest over time. Don't have to give that big bonus.
Big check
resulting in more stable teams, better retention that are significantly higher than the traditional models. End quote. Here's the rub. The military's ROTC program, which this was predicated on, officially created by Congress with the passage of the National Defense Act of 1916. It was signed by President Woodrow fucking Wilson, June 3rd, 1916. We've had these models in place forever. None of this is new. Whether it is healthcare, whether it is HVAC, whether it is construction, whatever it might be, right? Civil engineering, those types of things. Engineers are big. There's no reason why companies cannot adopt these types of models to be able to attract great talent and not have to pay them huge upfront bonuses, right? And literally that's what a talent pipeline is. When you're going into a school and you're getting those kids on board, and those kids are committing to you 4 years, and you're committing to them, I'm going to pay for your education. And then you get 3 or 4 years with them, you get a chance to actually earn that relationship and that trust, not because you paid for their education, but because you're a great employer and they're a great employee, right? We've really lost that relationship, and it's turned into what I like to call, disposable heroes. My favorite Metallica song, where literally we're seeing talent as disposable these days. And we've got to get away from that thought process, that mindset.
Okay. In the healthcare industry, I think this works exceptionally well. I think there are certain industries where you're always going to need those live bodies, those humans in place. Where I don't see this fitting in every business model actually is with what you've said, which is there are some companies that by their nature will have to be so freaking agile going forward. Agile in ways we've never seen before. And we're already seeing it. Large companies will no longer be large companies. They're shedding. So for companies to be able to say, I guarantee there'll be a job here for you for 4 years, a lot of business models cannot support that. That being said, I'm excited that companies are getting to that desperation point where they're starting to revisit old models, because I think the other old model we're going to start to see is apprenticeships, and I'm here for it. So if it's not this model, I think what you're saying resonates. There is another proven model out there. Go look up, back to the history book, see what's out there so that we can start to fix this, because it's not a one size fits all, but there's things out there you could be doing.
Well, and I think what you had just talked about, because, these companies are going to pivot and they're going to need new types of skills. I agree 100%, but I think we should be using our own talent to be able to pivot and develop them into new positions, into new types of jobs, instead of being an Amazon or Oracle and getting rid of 30,000 for God's sakes. So I think there's no question. This is not a one size fits all for any company, but I think being able to take elements of this to be able to not have to go and hire somebody, but have somebody who's been with you for 2 or 3 years and give them an opportunity to either go ahead and hit the bricks or come in and develop for this new position. We're not doing that, unfortunately. It's more mass layoffs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We need less of that, but we do need a little time to breathe. We'll be right back.
At Shaker Recruitment Marketing, our comprehensive services include branding, talent attraction, MarTech, and analytics, empowering you to achieve your recruitment marketing goals. We believe in doing things the right way, delivering the right message through the right activation, achieving the right conversion. For us, business is deeply personal. Our legacy is built on relationships. Together with our people, clients, and partners, we've been shaping the world of talent for over 70 years.
Okay, this one's going to get deep, kids. I sent this out to the group, and JT liked it so much I had to include it. But it is very heady, so I tried to dumb this down as much as possible for me, not for you, the listener, but for me, so that we can actually get through this.
And before you interject, I just want to remind everybody that he sent this, and by the time I opened it, was the point of the day where my brain could barely function. and
sorry,
it's so deep, but it was so good. So you stick with him. Just stick with him on this one.
Stick with it. Okay. So there's a great article on Block entitled "Hierarchy to Intelligence," co-authored by Jack Dorsey. They go through the history of hierarchy as a structure to provide command and control to armies, then inserting general staff into the equation as that becomes to get bigger and the need is more complex. Then org charts and matrix organizations really all get to the following, which is what they're going to talk about. We're going to talk about today is going from hierarchy to what Block is saying is intelligence. And here's a quote from the article. Quote, "Block is remote first. Everything we do creates artifacts, decisions, discussions, code, designs, plans, problems, and progress all exist as recorded actions. It's the raw material for a company's world model, aka a base of overall knowledge. In a traditional company, a manager's job is to know what's happening across their team and relay that context up and down the chain. In a remote first company, where work is already machine readable, AI can build and maintain the picture continuously, which means they don't need those middle management layers. What's being built, where resources are allocated, what's working and why it isn't. That's the information that the hierarchy used to carry. The company world model carries it instead. JT, what the actual fuck are we talking about?
I know, right? So seriously, you're like 17 paragraphs in going, land this plane, Jack Dorsey, land this plane. What are you talking about in this thing?
Please.
And then it finally comes together at the very end, you know? So please stick with it. But I do love the visual. I had to sit back as I read it and said, okay, so 8 people live in a tent together out, you know, in a war, and they're led by a commander. And then that commander is part of a group of commanders, and the whole reporting structure, and pointing out most people can only manage 3 to 8 reports. Really insightful and smart, and talking about that hierarchy and then adding in the specialties and cross functionality and how that all came together. I love that story because you literally found yourself imagining war and then imagining a corporation. It was interesting.
Yeah.
Where he lands the plane on the back end, for me at least, was, look, we're going to decide which of all those different roles AI has and which a human's going to keep. And I think we've known that for quite a while, that that's going to have to figure itself out. But what I think about is everything that happened when you started out in the trenches to become that general. And when we lose all that, when we do decide to give that to AI, how do those people that start out in the trenches get any time to build that knowledge to know how to lead. And that part, I'm very interested to see how he believes that will be handled. Because again, this brings me back. There's just such a gap there, gap there. And as the brain drain retires or dies, let's face it, where's it going? Who's going to take over? Is it going to be this AI that you train? So it's at the top and all these people are in the trenches. Like the math is not mathing for me on that. And so I'm super intrigued to see where they go. What did you think?
Well, first off, that excerpt, it talked about a variety of, company artifacts, which allows information to flow without the need of real management structure. It flattens an organization, right? So you have literally pieces, parts, and you might have teams, or you might just have depending on your organization, you might just have a bunch of individuals that's being managed by this AI, because the AI understands from a product standpoint and also from a timeline standpoint, project plan, those types of things, where you need to be, where you are, so on and so forth. And since you are doing work in a system, it knows exactly where you're at and what you're doing. Right? So you don't need that middle management anymore. It's done. Right? Now, the second aspect of it, so this is literally about flattening the organization, because the reason why the Romans and all the different armies had to create more layers was because they were building bigger militaries, bigger armies, and so on and so forth. And they had to have command and control over that. How did you do that? You needed those management layers that were in there. Now, the second part, this quote, the capability of the system is only as good as the quality of the customer signal feeding it. And money is the most honest signal in the world. People lie on surveys. They ignore ads. They abandon carts. But when they spend, save, send, borrow, or repay, that's the truth. Every transaction is a fact about somebody's life. The richer the signal, the better the model. The better the model, the more the transactions. The more the transactions, the richer the signal. End quote. Then that part was more like Minority Report. Spending money is all that matters. That's what it boiled down to from a business standpoint. If you don't like the service, you won't be back. If you did, you won't just be back, you'll buy more. It's fascinating how binary these seemingly complex discussions become. Society literally devolves into,
give me that money!
Because we can't hold space for multiple ideas. People just, it's that reptilian brain that just wants to codify something and decide black or white, yes or no. It's just, we're so built for that, to oversimplify something instead of living in the gray. And so I just found, I said he was landing it, but it came back to exactly what you said. Here we go. It's about the show me the money. And we'll make all those decisions. And it's just so much more than that. It's going to be so much more than that. I mean, honestly, somebody told me that there's a documentary out now, and I'm not going to pronounce it right, where they are they're an apocalyptimist, meaning they understand that the apocalypse is upon us, but they're optimistic about what it will do. And I've always said, the bigger the disruption, the bigger the innovation, the bigger the opportunity. And we have just been living in it. COVID brought it around. Now this is bringing it around. We're training people to really live in that apocalyptimism. I can't say that right. But I think that could be a good thing, but it requires you to realize it's just not black and white. There's so much bad going on right now, but somewhere in there, you also have to see the opportunity, because we have to keep going, but I to oversimplify it down to money, I'm with you. It's like, just, I guess he needed to end. It was such an epic novel that let me just finish this thing up. Bow on top.
Yeah, really quickly. It's about the money. And, well, usually I don't do this, but I think it's necessary this week with all of this kind of news that's happening. I have a dad joke.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I thought it was free.
Huh?
I thought it was free, the dad joke this week.
No. We're gonna do it. Okay, so what's the least spoken language? What is the least spoken language?
No
She's
clue.
shaking her head. She doesn't know.
I don't know.
Sign language.
What the hell does that mean?
All right, guys. Thanks a lot for joining in.
Thank
Subscribe.
you.
We love you. And we out.
We out.
Thank you for listening to, what's it called? A podcast. The Chad. The Cheese. Brilliant. They talk about recruiting. They talk about technology. But most of all, they talk about nothing. Just a lot of shout-outs of people you don't even know. And yet you're listening. It's incredible. And not one word about cheese. Not one. Cheddar. Blue. Nacho. Pepper jack. Swiss. So many cheeses and not one word. So weird. Anywho, be sure to subscribe today on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. That way you won't miss an episode. And while you're at it, visit www.chadcheese.com. Just don't expect to find any recipes for grilled cheese. It's so weird. We out!